ladies and gentlemen, you know the sound and the thing that I say every week. At this point, that means that it's Sunday, so it's the weekend and all that jazz, and it's time for the James Freel Show. I'm your host, James Freel, and as always, I am happy to have you with me. I've been looking forward to doing this show all week because I had a very eventful week, and I think it's going to be decent. This might be 2 shows in a row where I think, hey, it actually wasn't that bad. Mostly because I've gotten back to writing stuff down and having stuff to talk about. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm doing this week from a hotel room. I just drove back to Cleveland yesterday. I drove home from Cleveland just because I couldn't stand it being here, and it's like I'd rather just drive the 4 hours each way as opposed to just sitting in my hotel room lonely all week. So that's that. And I think it's going to be a decent show before and all that jazz. But before, of course, as always, I get into that, I gotta jump into news for the uninformed. Hold on, just one moment though. Hope you can still hear me from across the room. I'm gonna unplug this. Yeah, it's hilarious. I really thought I was gonna wind up doing this show on Friday as I used to do it. And then, without fail, Friday comes around and I find an excuse not to do it. I guess the only thing keeping me going on this is that, the whole voice journal aspect of it. Even if I wind up deleting all of these or taking them off of the internet, I'm still going to, definitely still going to download all of them to listen to in the future. But anyway, before I'm already rambling, let's hop into news for the uninformed. I just gotta hop onto the internet really quick.
Retroactively adding that there's a thing where the U.S. thinks that Iran bombed a ship, and I couldn't think of that before. All right, go on.
Back to it. I cooked a really bad steak last night. The worst one I've ever cooked. I didn't have it seared well enough. Federal investigation was in Costco shoot. Oh, okay, here we go. This is just breaking out. Costco shooting, police officer holding child was attacked and opened fire. I don't know. It's crazy. Let's see, actually, hey James, remember that time you were in a hotel room, so you got all these local news stations? If it's that big of a deal, we can see if it's breaking. Lord knows they'll be talking about it on cable news. I don't see anything. I saw earlier something about Trump isn't worried about being impeached or something. I didn't really listen to the news that thoroughly this week because I've been up here in Cleveland, and what I listen to seems to change based on the location that I'm at. In sports, it was quite an eventful sports week. The St. Louis Blues won Game 7. That feels like it was forever ago. So they won the Stanley Cup, and then also at gunpoint over toy doll. And then I see this guy, he's in quotes. Wow, they got really good highlight going on the news station. And then the Toronto Raptors won Game 6 to get the NBA Finals trophy. Man, does this guy blink? I guess not. Anyway, so that happened in sports. And then in pop culture, I guess it wasn't a very big news week for top stories. I feel like I left it hanging there. Trump campaign says it will fire pollsters. It seems kind of massive failure leaves Argentina and Paraguay and Uruguay without power. Huge turnout in Hong Kong for something, I don't know. Okay, so there's that. And, just a second. Okay, and Romeo and Juliet director Franco Zeffirelli dies at 96. His 1968 Romeo and Juliet brought Shakespeare's story to a new appreciative generation. Italian director who delighted audience. Okay, so he died, it looks like, June 15th, 2019. Sounds like he had a good run. That'd be cool. Wish I could direct movies. That'd be sweet. Alright, anyway, back to the rambling section. So one of the coolest things that I did this week was I got to go to Cedar Point. And I talked about this last time when I was on the show. Last time I did this show and I talked about Kings Island. It's the same exact feeling, because I'm in line and it's just nothing but, like, I feel like an old curmudgeon, because I love roller coasters, but I'm surrounded by just a bunch of, like, tweens and, like, 14, 15-year-olds, and first off, I can't believe I'm 10 years older than 14 and 15-year-olds. That's crazy, but they are really obnoxious, and I know I'm just being a jerk by being annoyed with them. Like, let them have their fun. There's no reason for me to get irritated and upset by it, but nonetheless, I am. Just like, and for some reason, some of these kids, like, do not. I'm in line and I'm there by myself, and they're like touching me ever so slightly, but they do it relentlessly, and it's just at the right level that if I were to say something about it, it's not a big enough deal to say something. But I'm just like, do you know how a line works? It's as if, like, they think it by being right up on my tail to where their hand is like brushing my thigh or my back or something. I'm like, why do you insist on touching me? There's plenty of room. And it's just because I'm impatient and I want to get on the ride and I'm excited and I see people around me having a good time that I'm not sharing with because I'm there by myself like a loser. And it's just adding up and boiling up. And I didn't say anything, of course, but man, oh man, these kids were really annoying. And there was multiple occasions where I'm getting touched from behind, and I'm like, touching me is not going to make you get there any sooner. And it was obnoxious from my perspective. Yes, I probably took it. I'm probably letting stuff get to me that it shouldn't, but I don't like being touched. So I'll just leave it at that. But the rides there are fantastic, and I hate to admit that it's a better amusement park than my home park of Kings Island. One thing that it doesn't have on Kings Island is nostalgia feel to me, because I remember first off I went to Kings Island as a young kid, and then I got to go again with my junior high a couple of times. And one time I was able to go there when one of my cousins from Germany came over, and what upsets me is the Son of Beast. I was just about to get on, and then a rain delay started, and so I didn't ride it, and that kind of upset me. But anyway, I'm talking about Cedar Point, not that. But yeah, Kings Island has a lot of sentimental value that Cedar Point doesn't have, but I would be lying if I said that Cedar Point doesn't have better rides than Kings Island, because it simply does. The rides are, I believe them when they say it's the roller coaster capital of the world. It truly is an amazing place. So I got to meet this Vietnam veteran, though, in line, and I felt kind of bad because he was really old, had a long beard, and he had one of those Vietnam hats on, but on the side of it, it had a pin of, this is the Beast's 40th anniversary. And yeah, I'm guessing he probably couldn't hear very well, because I wanted to start the conversation out with, oh, have you been to Kings Island this year? I can see the pin you have. And he took it as, oh, thank you, because I think he thought I was thanking him for the hat, which is a totally fair thing. And his son was there with him, and his son probably saw the blunder that I made. And I was going to thank him eventually, but regardless, I thanked both of them, because both of them had served time overseas. This guy, he was on they recommended I go to Holiday World. Apparently that's a nice park. It doesn't have the huge thrills that like Cedar Point has, but it's a really good day trip apparently. But this one dude, he served in Vietnam as like a radar technician or something, and while he was there, one of his friends got on a plane and no, he was on a helicopter, and then for some reason he got off, and his friend took his spot, and he was going to get on the next helicopter, and the one he got off got shot down, and everyone died. So switching off like saved his life. So that was a really interesting story. This guy was so old, and he was like, his favorite thing was roller coasters. I'm asking him all about these places. He's like, oh yeah, Six Flags is great. We got all these different places. You need to make your way up to this way. And it was all awesome to meet someone like that. And we talked about different wars, and it was just really, it was a great experience to talk to a guy like that. I want to briefly talk about each one of the rides there. Steel Vengeance, I hate to say, is probably the best ride I've ever ridden. That ride is amazing. When I first got in line, people were like, what's the wait time? He's like, it's 90 minutes. And they're like, and the guy was like, you should, it's totally worth it. Just, I would go if I were you. And then Maverick was, I think Maverick is a very close second for me. Millennium Force was great. Dragster was great. I gotta say, Valraven is kind of overhyped, in my humble opinion. That was the first one I did, and it's not a bad coaster. It's just it looks more fun than it is. And I've heard coaster commentators, of whom which I deeply respect, call dive coasters a one-trick pony. And I'm with them on that. I'm in agreement with them. But one of the horrible things was, so I put in the wrong address when I headed back from Cedar Point to the hotel I was staying at. And unfortunately, I was only about 25 minutes away from where I was heading. Luckily, I had enough sense to oh yeah, this is heading in the right direction. But that added what should have been an hour and 15 minutes turned into an hour and 40 minutes of a ride home. I had to pull over, to turn around, reorient myself, but that wasn't too bad though. So I'm doing class. So otherwise, for the real reason I'm up here in Cleveland though, is I'm here for class obviously, and last time I came up here for class, I knew somebody who was in the group with me, and it was, hold on, where am I getting? So I don't know anybody this time. And going to class this time, it's very similar to the way you would go to class back in school. It feels like the cool kids clique goes together. But it quickly changed. Everyone in my class has been super nice and welcoming, and some of them are even here at the same hotel that I'm at. And they've offered for me to sit with them. It hasn't been that difficult to not drink here. I remember back when I didn't give up alcohol for Lent this year, the reason I stopped was I'm like, I'm going to be going to training. I can't not drink at a free bar. But now that I've done that for 2 weeks, it's like, I can live without it. I've done it once, and it's a distraction being taken away. It allows me to focus on what I'm learning about more than thinking, when I'm getting home, it's going to be great. A couple of people in my class, one of them's from Los Angeles, one's from Seattle, San Francisco. They're from all over, which is cool. I get to ask people about different cultures and what's the biggest difference between there and here. This guy was from San Francisco. He was amazed when I told him how much my rent was. His jaw just dropped. Are you kidding me? That's insane. Because San Francisco is one of the most expensive places to live. And Cincinnati, for one, the city of Cincinnati is one of the cheapest places to live. And couple that with a suburb outside of one of the cheapest places to live. So he was completely blown away by that, and that was just an interesting conversation. One of the dude from Seattle, he's actually a Saints fan. My mind always goes to sports whenever I'm talking to people, when I try to find something to relate to them with. And, oh shoot, I forgot to, that just hit me. Sorry, I forgot. Hold on, pause. This dude lives in Seattle, but he was from, I think, Arkansas or something, but he was a Saints fan, and I was happy to hear that, because it's okay, I have something I can talk to him about. And instantly. The Saints, they've had 2 rough endings to each season, and I'm like, yeah, you guys got royally screwed. And I gave my rant about this, how, yeah, they got screwed, but I don't really care. The Cowboys got screwed, and I had to live with that. They didn't get screwed the last time. Last time they just dropped the ball. But hey, don't. When you finish the game, you don't have to worry about it. It was a tough game, and sometimes bad calls are a part of the game. So, but I didn't say any of that to him. So I went back to Cedar Point. I've been there twice. I hope to go 2 more times. I've learned that lines are so long there that when I go, I'm probably only going to get to do 3 or 4 rides. What's the weather going to be in Sandusky, Ohio tomorrow? Because I might go tomorrow, depending on Sandusky, Ohio weather. Let's see what we got here tomorrow. It's supposed to rain. What about Tuesday? Tuesdays look good. So, and Wednesdays doesn't look bad either. All right, so I'm either going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm definitely going to go on Friday. I might go Tuesday and Wednesday. I want to get my money's worth. I got this pass here that gives me unlimited entrance for May and June. And so, I want to get my money. It was only like $10 more than the cost of a single day ticket. So I'm like, hey, let's get our money's worth of it. Anyway, so now when I was leaving the second day, there's this kid, and the people. I don't get people who win prizes at amusement parks because you got to carry them around all day, especially the obnoxiously large ones. And for an amusement park, I would consider a basketball to be obnoxiously large. And I'm trying to leave, and this kid is in front of me, and he's just dribbling. And he's dribbling. Now, it would be one if he was just dribbling, fine. I could live with that. It's like, hey, he's got a ball, he's trying to do it. But he had a huge crowd behind him, and he knew it. And he was doing that thing where you dribble it under your legs. He was kind of good at it, okay? He wasn't great at it, but he was competent at it. And it was just kind of annoying me, because I'm like, he's thinking, yeah, how cool these people think I am. And so, like, I'm watching it, and, the more I read this back, the more of a curmudgeon I feel like, and more of like, why do I care so much? But I did take some joy, because at one point, it hit his foot and ricocheted off to the side. And I'm like, yes! And he had to chase after it. And I'm like, everyone saw that. You're not that good. And I feel like a real jerk when the more I talk about this. Line works. Okay, there, I said all this is the first one. One thing I gotta say that are true about cigars still, I gotta put them down. They're kind of gross. I enjoy them in the moment, but they are kind of gross. Especially like when I'm breathing later. But they are much better sober. I still haven't drank. I think it's how many days has it been? How many days has it been since Memorial Day?
It was 20 days ago.
Okay, so I haven't had a drink in 20 days. And so I've had 2 cigars since then. Well, I've had one real one, and then one that was just one of those that you get from a plastic bag. One of those Ziploc bags and stuff. But they are much better sober. Like, I used to always have them just when I was having drinks. But then it's just sort of like, oh, I'm feeling good, let's have one of those. But having them sober, it's like, yeah, you appreciate them more because your judgment isn't clouded in anything. So I'll probably replace my bad habit of drinking the next 100 days. If this is a week, I just finished Monday because it's an 100 days thing that I'm doing. Yeah, that's the thing. It's Pandora's box with any of these different vices. I don't know. Being able to put down on like alcohol. Like I don't know what I was trying to say there. Moving on. Well, on the days I'm not in Cedar Point, I have been working out, and I don't think I've been working out significantly harder than normal, although I definitely did today. I drank a Red Bull before I had... Red Bulls used to make me crazy, but I think the fact that I actually did something after drinking it made it a little bit less obnoxious and crazy. So, that was good. I probably had the most intense workout ever today. I normally am not someone who sweats a lot. I do when I work out, but I've never been one to be dripping, and I was dripping after my workout today. I don't know if I want to get into that habit though of needing some sort of energy boost in order to get through a workout. Thing is, although my working out has been good, my diet has been pretty putrid lately. It's probably just going to continue to be bad like that. At least for this week. It's hard, especially they offer breakfast here, and it's not like one of those typical hotel breakfasts where they have a few stale bagels and sort of cereal where you twist the thing. This place has a really nice hot breakfast, and you got eggs and bacon and sausage and biscuits and gravy, and they even have an omelet bar, and it's really hard to pass that up. Especially Saturday, I got an omelet, and it was delicious. I felt horrible because I was first in line. I ordered first, and they served 3 people behind me. They got theirs first. I don't know why. I didn't really care, but then I get put in that awkward situation where it looks like I'm angry. I'm not. I understand things happen. But, you know what? I just realized something. There was no jalapeno in my omelet. And I know the lady behind me, we got the same exact thing, except she wanted no jalapeno and I wanted jalapeno. And I hope that wasn't for her kid or something, because I just remembered, I did not taste any in there. Hopefully they just didn't put any in either's, but it's a comical situation. Mark Leibovich, who's that guy? I don't know. Got Meet the Press on right now. Moving on. So my diet's been horrible. One last thing I did this week, on top of Cedar Point, is I made my way down to the Professional Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. That's really in the middle, and it's in a small city. I just pulled off the highway. It's right there, and you go in. It's not really in a big. It's surprising. I guess that is where football was founded, but that was a really cool experience. I got to see where the first record of someone being paid to play football, and it was a really, really cool experience. I got to see a lot of memorabilia. I took some photos. I don't feel like editing these together. I wish I did. Maybe I will. Who knows? What's the time here? I've been thinking about doing that, where I have some photos and I crop them together so that people can see them. But I don't know. I saw the jersey. I was amazed by how small NFL jerseys are, because you always imagine these players are huge. But the jerseys are skin tight. They had the jersey Tim Tebow wore when he beat the Steelers in the playoffs. And I remember, I don't think I was watching it, but I remember when it happened. And I was thrilled. It's thank you, Tim Tebow. That's one of those moments where you're sitting there with a glass of bourbon, a cigar, and just thinking, well done, Tim Tebow. Takes a sip. Well done. I really appreciated that. And I like Tim Tebow. I think he's a good guy. What I have learned is that the Pro Football Hall of Fame is kind of a sad place to be if you're a Bengals fan, because we really only have one guy in there. Anthony Munoz. I think Paul Brown is in there, but he's in there as the Browns coach, not as the Bengals coach. Joe Montana, Dan Marino. These are photos I took. Troy Aikman, John Madden. They had Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott jerseys there, ones that they had worn, which was a really cool sight to see. Still amazes me how small those things are. They had the jersey that Odell Beckham Jr. wore when he made that catch. I don't care for Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's kind of a jerk and a drama queen, and I think the Browns are the most overhyped team in sports. I think I say this every week now, or at least it feels like I've been saying that. They had the jersey that Peyton Manning wore when he broke the touchdown pass record. Tom Brady won the league MVP for the third time in 2017. Brady passed for on display is his uniform worn during the season. Yeah, that was a really neat thing to see. They had the shoes where I tweeted about how the Browns, I was like, geez, can they ever catch a break when they lost to Tampa Bay, and they had the shoes that guy was wearing, Troy Aikman's jersey, one that I sent to my brother. My brother's always kind of liked the Seahawks, and he's always liked Russell Wilson. They had the jersey that Russell Wilson wore in Super Bowl 48. And the helmet he wore. I like Russell Wilson also, and he's also a really fun guy to play as in Madden. Ain't that true? So, yeah, that's been nice. It's also nice the fact that I got to go here without having to drag my lady. Also, for one, I wouldn't want to pay for her to get in because she would be bored the whole time, and she wouldn't enjoy it, and I got to see it without having to drag her there. Got to see replicas of all the Super Bowl teams. I also got to see John Madden. I knew that he drove around the country in a what is it? The RV, because I thought he was afraid of flying. He wasn't afraid, he just didn't like flying. And I gotta say, if you didn't like small spaces, boy, that camper is pretty small also. It is not a easy place to sit around in, but regardless. I came home early this weekend. Originally my plan, I think I said this at the beginning, but my original plan was to stay here all weekend. But I just had such a boring time all weekend, and I'm like, forget this. I'm going to... oh, man, I just realized I was going to grab some Chick-fil-A after this, but it's Sunday. Gosh darn. I went home, and I didn't tell my lady that... I did not tell her that I was coming home. And so she was kind of surprised when... I surprised her. I knocked on the door, and I put my finger over the peephole. And I probably looked like a creep because one of my neighbors was coming in, and we still haven't been there long enough to make friends and know. I don't really recognize this guy, but then she didn't really answer, and so I tried opening it, and she pushed it back and said, "Who's there?" And I just said, "It's Ben," and I gotta edit that out. I accidentally said my real name there. 2740-ish. Anyway, it was a nice little surprise, but drove 4 hours one day, drove 4 hours back the next day. Geez, Donald Trump really does have that orange line around his eyes. That's gotta be a spray tan. There is no way. And can't they make it to where it looks tan? Why does it, we gotta look like a freaking Oompa Loompa? Why? I don't get it. It can't be that hard. There's Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham, Meet the Press, that one lady. I don't know. I hope you guys can't hear that. It probably would help if I didn't point this at that. Alright, yeah, I'm hoping this weather holds up. That'll be really nice if I'm able to go 3 more times before the week is out. Oh, my phone has it raining tomorrow. Oh, but it stops by noon. So tomorrow might be a good day to go. Yeah, we will see. We will see. Anyway, I've been reading a good book this week, but it's about time for me to shut up and get back to my life. Alright, that's going to be the show for this week. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.